Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Breakouts podcast, where we interview extraordinary founders in just under 20 minutes. Now, this time around, we actually have a special episode for you guys. We've wrapped up recording season 1, and we're just getting started on recording season 2. So we're kind of in between seasons, but one of the founders we interviewed on season 1 went on to raise their next round of funding, and we wanted to have him back on the pod to share kind of what it takes to go from a seed round to a Series A round. I personally really enjoyed this episode and learned a lot from this interview, so I hope you do as well. And without further ado, here's today's episode. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Breakouts. This time around, we have a bit of a special episode. We have one of our old guests coming back. It's Michael Gifford, the co-founder and CEO of Splitero. Now, we talked to Michael a few months after he had raised his seed for Splitero. Now they've gone ahead and raised a Series A. So, Michael, wonderful to have you back on the pod. How have you been?
Back. Thank you for having me again. We've been great. Obviously, it's great to talk to you again.
Yeah, likewise. I'm so excited. I guess where should we start? Maybe we can start by doing just like a quick recap of, what Splitero is for some of the listeners that might have missed the previous episodes. Definitely go ahead and check them out. We did 2 episodes together. But in terms of a recap, could you share one more time what Splitero does and what problems Splitero is trying to solve?
Yeah, Splitero is on a mission to help homeowners by providing them the best options to access their home equity. Right now, with what's going on with the interest rate environment and the economic uncertainty, it's really difficult for most homeowners to access the equity in their home.
Really cool. So, and I think we talked about this last time, right? So maybe if we can just run through an example for our listeners. So let's say that I have a home that's worth $1 million. I come to Splitero. What kind of lump sum of cash upfront can I expect when I'm trying to access, part of the equity in that home? And how does that process kind of work? From the point where I tell you guys, okay, this is how much my home is worth. This is the home. This is the property. What happens next?
Process is very smooth. So homeowners come to us, and like you said, we put a valuation on the property. Once we get a valuation of the property, we actually discount it slightly, and we have a starting point. So we share in the appreciation above or below that starting. Most homeowners come to us and can request up to $500,000. They can have those funds for 30 years. There's no monthly payment on it, and it's not debt, so it doesn't affect their FICO score.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. Just to drill deeper into this example, I'm going to throw out some numbers here and try to walk us through a bit of an example to try to, understand the nuances. But let's say I have a $1 million home, right? And that's what you guys agree on the valuation. Maybe you guys come up with it. Would it be safe to assume that I could get somewhere around $130,000 in upfront cash? Is that something I decide? Do I pull some kind of levers and adjust it, or how is that upfront amount determined?
Yeah, that's very safe to assume in that scenario. Most homeowners that come to us have about 50% equity in their house. And so, like you said, if you have $1 million house, you have 50% equity, it means you have $500,000 that we can help you access. Obviously, we can't let you access all of that, right? We don't want to put you in a tough situation where you don't have any other access to the equity in your home. And so in that scenario, you're likely able to get $130,000. Most people with similar scenarios are going to access roughly 10 to 15% of their home's value. So $1 million house, pretty easy to access, 100 to 150,000. Some might even access up to 300,000 in that case. But that's a realistic scenario.
Gotcha. Okay. And let's say that, your home increases in value with the average appreciation, which I believe is around 3% per year for homes. So after 30 years at that rate, the same $1 million home would be worth $2.4 million roughly. So that means essentially that the home has appreciated $1.4 million in value. And of that, Splitero would keep a percentage, and then you yourself would keep a percentage based off of the equity that you essentially gave to Splitero at the beginning in exchange for the lump sum of cash. Is that fair?
That's fair. And in most cases, Splitero shares in about 20 to 30% of that upside. And so the homeowner keeps the lion's share of the economics, especially in a scenario like that. most people don't hold their homes for 30 years. Most people are closer to the 7 to 10 year mark. And so
Right.
the
Yeah.
appreciation isn't as drastic. But in a scenario like you described, where the home value increases substantially, we actually have a safety cap in place, which would protect the homeowner's upside. So the investment from Splitero can only make as much as that safety cap is per year. Think 9.99 to 17.9, somewhere in that range, depending on the other characteristics of the investment. That would actually cap out. So in a scenario like you described, where the home's more than doubled in value, which is great for our homeowners, Splitero's share is actually a pretty minor portion.
Interesting. Okay. I like these safeguards in place. I feel like, if I were going ahead and doing this, that would make me feel a lot more safe, that I'm not giving up, all the upside here. But if I do want access to some quick cash, I can get it.
And you can also use that cash for up to 30 years, as you mentioned. And the really neat portion about it is there's no monthly payments, right? So you can access that 130,000 that you talked about, and the next month you don't have to turn around and start making payments.
Very nice. Okay. That's really cool. Shifting gears a little bit more about, since your last fundraising round, right? Since between the seed and the A, I guess, what did you guys, accomplish? Like, what was the progress? And then also, like, moving forward from the A to, the B or whatever round you guys want to raise in the future, what kind of milestones are you hoping to hit?
Yeah. So the internal and external points that happen between those two markers of time, for sure.
Sure.
The interest rate environment and the economic environment turn, right? And it put homeowners in a lot of uncertain situations where they look now at their home as their biggest asset, of course, but also it has a substantial amount of cash that they can access. And so when people are uncertain what's going on with their jobs and the economy, they do want to access that cash. And so we have had a lot of homeowners coming to us asking for our help from all 50 states and even some other countries. Since our seed round, we've expanded out of California. We're now in 5 different states. So California,
Wow.
Washington, Oregon, Utah, and Colorado. So that's been a big change for us. Our team has grown substantially. So we've had to find an amazing team they're located in 10 different states as well. So we've brought on quite the team, and really we've grown, right? In how much we're able to help homeowners, how much we're funding monthly has grown substantially. And then as the part of your second question, right? For the B, where do we go from here? The team continues to grow. We want to advance into more states and keep helping homeowners across the U.S.
Really interesting. So I guess there's different axes that you could progress on, right? So one of them is, okay, the amount of depth that you have per state. And the second is the amount of breadth, i.e. the number of states in which you're able to operate. I'm guessing that there is some regulation or licensing that you guys need to go through per state. Is that right? Or I guess what hinders you from saying that, hey, we're in all 50 states at once?
Yeah, of course. The operational complexity of being in all 50 states is certainly a high bar and hindrance. There is a licensing component that we abide by. There are, outside of licensing, there's also legal docs, right? Say a mortgage in California is not the same as a mortgage in New York, right? And so how do those documents look, work, act, feel, that kind of thing goes into that. Outside of that, you also think about the team. To help homeowners in all 50 states, you need a massive amount of people to do that, which we will do eventually. However, you have to find great talent. You have to hire them, train them, onboard them, right? Get them in the seat so they are adequately able to help homeowners. All of that does take time, especially a little more than the 1 year since we probably last spoke, but we're working on all those things now.
Interesting. So would you say that the velocity of expansion here is a function of how quickly you can hire and onboard talent that can operate in each geo?
It is. That is one of the factors for sure.
Okay.
And I think your breadth versus depth is definitely another question to ponder on. The depth of each market is not equal, right? So your states like California have a substantial amount of homeowners who have a lot of equity in their house. That's different than, say, maybe Montana, where there aren't as many people, there are not as many homes, they don't have as much home equity. And so you're making these decisions kind of as you go, as you look at markets. There's pros and cons of everything, but breadth versus depth is definitely a question that comes up.
Interesting. Okay. So basically, since you're seed, After having the economic environment shift, you guys expanded from 1 to 5 states. Do you guys have a number in your head that you think about when, hey, we're in X many homes or we're in Y many states that you think would be a good milestone for going to raise a B?
I don't think about it in terms of raising a B as the next milestone. I think it's more sort of how the company grows from here, right? We do want to enter more states, and we think about entering more states and helping as many homeowners as we possible. We put metrics around that, but it's also other features of the business, right? You have to get more efficient at, say, sales and marketing, right? To bring your costs down. You also realize efficiencies in the tech org as you add to the team and build different engineering features. And so those are also milestone markers that you want to achieve before your next fundraising round. I think that the B round is always the most historically toughest to raise, right? And so when you think about the different components of the business, it's not always just, either check the box because we help this many homeowners, or check the box we're in, X number of states now. It's also, how are you doing with every other aspect of the business that's not so much of a metric?
That makes a lot of sense. So it seems like there's multiple different metrics and axes that you need to consider before understanding, what's the right time. And I'm sure it's also a function of other things like runway, revenue, how developed is the team, customer acquisition cost, as you mentioned. I'm curious, if you're comfortable sharing, from the time that you guys were at the seed to the A, what was the difference in, I guess, the number of homes that you were able to serve and the amount of revenue or profit you guys were able to generate?
Yeah, those are always important numbers for sure. I think that when we raised our seed round, we were just getting started, right? So we hadn't helped a single homeowner when we raised the funds to start the company. We knew that there'd be product market fit, right? We could point to all the data that this was the product that was needed, which has helped. Now we've helped hundreds of homeowners, right? And so that number is growing and growing every single day in all 5 of these states, which is amazing. As we go to scale and think about our next round, the other part of the equation is the fundraising environment, right? Right now, it's very difficult. Probably for the near future, it'll be pretty difficult to raise, a significant amount of financing. It makes you think about how fast you grow, right? How many markets you actually enter. Is it worth it or not? You're kind of making these trade-offs as you're trying to also, reach your next milestone in your business.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And from what it seems like these days, it seems like the growth stage fundraising rounds are impacted the most, right? Like as opposed to like pre-seed and seed, we're definitely seeing impact across the board, but more so in the later stage. Is that kind of what you've seen as well, or?
Yeah, we haven't started too many of those conversations, but you think about the companies over the last few years that have gone public and hasn't exactly worked out as well as they'd hoped. That scrutiny comes down the funnel into the venture-backed companies, right? And so we will have to face those questions. How are you going to reach profitability, per se, or what are you going to do with this next round of fundraising? Is it going to be your last, or are you reliant on raising another round in the future? Those are all questions that those later stage investors are asking. And I think, unfortunately, for a lot of businesses right now, they might not have the greatest answers for that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, for this round in particular, who were some of the big investors involved? And how did that round kind of come together? Was it a lot of follow-on investments from your seed, or, did you guys bring in a lot of new people?
We did. We had new and old. So all of our prior investors participated, which was just awesome.
Wow.
The round was led by Fiat Ventures, which was great. And then we had some significant follow-on from a few different funds. PVJ Capital, for instance, is one. Joint Effects, Gemini Ventures, who led our seed round, came back in with a large check, which was great. Dream Ventures, Permit Ventures. So we had quite a few funds join the round, which was very exciting for us.
Awesome. Okay, so it seems like it was a mix of both, right? A lot of follow-on, but then also bringing in some new people. That's awesome. If you're being able to raise so successfully in this kind of fundraising environment, that's a testament to the kind of work that you guys are doing. At least from what it seems like on the outside, it seems like you guys are doing a great job.
I appreciate that. I think there is a note there that now in this current environment, and to all the founders that I'm sure listen, and it takes substantially longer, right, than it
Really?
has in the past, right? And it is tougher environment to raise. And so make sure you do have that runway and the amount of time and in the connections, right? There's nothing better than a warm introduction. So try to network, get out there, meet people, because fundraising right now and probably for the near future is difficult.
Yeah, no, 100% agreed. The fundraising environment, it's tough right now. You just went through it. You probably have a number of fresh lessons in your head. I'm curious for founders that are going from, kind of seed where a lot of the capital is being used to de-risk very core parts of the business to Series A, where things become a lot more about metrics. What's a piece of advice that you could offer to seed and pre-seed founders?
I think that there's a change from, what is your competitive moat to do you have a product that can reach profitability in X amount of time, right? Like, do you have a real product that you can make into a profitable business and grow substantially, or not? I think that that's probably a major shift that's going on in the market right now. The growth at all cost days are over probably for a while. And so, that's a first principle of like, our product is it a real product that has legs that can grow and make us into a profitable business? And if not, what is your plan to change to get to that? So I think that's probably one of the most important. Obviously, you have to still have the metrics. You have to have shown your growth and that you have product market fit and that there are metrics for a business there. But first and foremost, do you have a product in the near future that you can make in a profitable business or not? And if not, what did that timeline look like? And what's the growth look like? Because being reliant on your next round of fundraising could be a mistake that a lot of companies have made in the last couple of years and hopefully are not making now, because it might not be there.
That makes a lot of sense. Are you guys profitable at the moment, or are you working towards it, or?
We are working towards it. Yeah, definitely one of our goals.
Awesome. So I'm curious about so profitability, very important in this environment. Apart from profitability, what's like the I guess biggest goal, challenge, or thing that you're looking forward to over the next few months to the next year?
We're doing some really cool things on the tech side for sure. Part of the Series A round was to hire more talent, right? And so bring a lot of people in, build some cool things internally. That's always, kind of an A level task. And so I'm looking forward to that. And honestly, like I get so much joy from all of the homeowners that we help, and the stories are just incredible. We talk about them every week in our all hands. And so I get a lot of joy just from actually helping the homeowners and seeing the power that our product has, giving somebody, a large sum of cash that they can use to pay off their debt or redo their roof, build a pool, like enjoy their house. All those things are just awesome stories.
That's awesome. And are you guys, in terms of product strategy right now, are you guys kind of doubling down on, hey, let's just focus on what our core product offering is right now? Are you focusing on, or are you focusing on also expanding the set of features or solutions that you guys offer?
Yeah, we have an interesting product where I would say that we're somewhat countercyclical. And so the demand for our product is enormous right now. So we are staying hyper focused on our core product. I think that that probably changes as we grow, but right now we're very focused on home equity investment.
Awesome. The product as it exists today, does it involve a significant amount of human touch from your guys' end to provide that lump sum of cash, or is it mostly automated?
I would say right now, mostly human touch, but there's automation that is growing, and that's a lot of kind of the tech enablement that we're building now. There's a lot that can be touched with automation, but early stage, it's really hard to put all that automation in place. And honestly, like you need to actually have a human do the role for some amount of time. So you understand, okay, is there a portion of this that we can't actually automate, and what can we automate? And if we do automate it, how much lift does that actually give us? Is it worth spending the time and money on now, or should that be something we, put on the product roadmap down the line?
That makes a lot of sense. So right now, in terms of the kind of refinements that you're working on, are they more on the process side? Are they more on, the product side of things? Or is more of your effort on, I guess, the go to market or the distribution here, as opposed to, refining the product? Or how are you balancing those efforts is what I'm
Yeah,
curious
we
about.
think about things in internal and external tech, if you will, right? So external would be your product and what people see and use. And there's a lot of improvements that we are doing there to make it easier and more homeowner friendly. When they come to us, they need to upload documents or something comes up in underwriting that we need to ask them about, like, how do we surface those things? The other side is the internal side, right? And so the automation that we put in place for our team, less clicks, if you will, spend less time doing certain tasks that we know we can automate. We think about things in both those realms.
Awesome. Okay. And you also mentioned that a big focus for you right now is growing the team. You guys expand into additional states. What's your plan in terms of hiring? Like, what are you looking to grow the team to? And what kind of key roles are you hiring for?
Yes. Right now, not too many key roles. We will be adding roles here in the near future. I think because of the demand for our funnel, we pulled forward a lot of hiring in late last year while we were doing our fundraise to keep up. And so we're starting to see the efficiencies. Those people are now trained and on board. And so we're seeing all of that now, which is excellent. And so later this year, we'll definitely start hiring for some key roles, some leadership roles that we haven't filled, some later stage kind of company roles that you just don't do early on. And then, of course, homeowner advisors, processors, underwriters, all of our production funnel, we'll be adding to all stages of our business.
Interesting. Okay. That makes a lot of sense. I'm curious, this is a bit of a tangent, but I think also something that a lot of people are thinking about, whether, it's in prop tech, fintech, health tech, all of the above. The whole wave of ChatGPT, AI, all the above, the proliferation of AI tools that are interesting demos yet half baked. I'm curious, have you thought about leveraging AI to any extent to automate or make some of these processes more efficient, or do you think that the technology is a little bit too early and there's not merit in applying it at the moment, at least in these prop tech kind of use cases?
We have thought about it. To answer your initial question, I think that where we stand right now is a few of the things are a little too early, but there are some really interesting things that we can use in our process, and we're actively working on those. What we do right now is not a cut and dry. You just produce this unit and then this unit and this unit and this unit, right? It's very specific to our homeowners and very with their situation, what's going on. And so that makes some things for AI great if it's really repeatable, but if it changes every time, it might be a little more challenging. And so we have thought about it. We haven't installed or initiated too much of it right now in our process, but I think in the future, is definitely opportunity.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. And you bring up a great point there that for AI, where, a lot of it is based on pattern recognition and frequency. If things are very, very personalized, for example, in a case like this, it's hard to get with AI. It's hard to, to get it to be able to do those kind of things unless the frequency of the same kind of use case appearing is there. So that makes a lot of sense. I think those are all the questions that we had for this round. Michael, is there anything that you want to plug, want to share about Splitero and its journey going forward that we haven't covered so far?
As far as Splitero goes, we are happy and willing to help homeowners in the 5 states that I mentioned before. So California, Colorado, Washington, Oregon, Utah. Please go to our website, www.splitero.com. There you can fill out the application. Takes 1 to 2 minutes. People get through it in a breeze. And then speak to one of our homeowner advisors. So our homeowner advisor can talk about your situation. We talked about a hypothetical here, but everyone is created very differently. And so our homeowner advisors are able to help and tell you, you might come to us and say, hey, I would like $100,000 for this scenario, but we might approve you for more than that. And then they can, figure out what to do with that extra cash. But we're here ready to help homeowners.
That's awesome. All right. You guys heard it. Go check them out at splitero.com. I think you guys even have like an estimation tool, right? That you can use. So go ahead and give that a try, folks. Other than that, Michael, it was so great chatting with you again. I think it felt really cool to speak with a founder that I had talked to before and kind of see how the journey is progressing. Hopefully we get the opportunity to follow Splitero's journey in the future as well. But thank you so much for coming on the pod.
Yeah, it was great chatting with you again. Hopefully we will talk to you after the next fundraising round.
Yeah, there you go. All right, folks. Thanks so much for listening. We'll see you on the next episode of the Breakouts.
Thank you.
All right, folks, and that wraps up today's special episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. And I'm actually really eager to hear from you guys about what you thought about this new format where founders come on board and share, fundraising news and kind of what they've learned along the next step of their journey. So definitely, reach out to me, shoot us a ping. We'd love to hear from you. If you haven't done so already, also follow us on Twitter at The Breakouts Pod. Check out our YouTube channel and check us out on LinkedIn as well to stay up to date with all the new episodes and insights that we're bringing about. And I think that's everything, folks. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time on The Breakouts.